tax itself is, so you have, the debt service is at 40 cents. So of the 86 cents of taxes, 40 cents goes to pay for debt service. So, the rest goes into the operation of the general fund. So that, if there's any questions, we'd be more than happy to entertain anything y'all may have.
Council, we've rode this horse pretty far, so any other questions for the city manager on our tax rate? With that, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 9B, discuss and consider ordinance number 20240902, an ordinance adopting the city of Pearsall appropriation budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025. This is an action item. I'll take a motion in a second. Motion by Councilwoman Hernandez. I need a second by Councilwoman Trevino. City Manager, you have the floor.
Yes, the one thing that you have that wasn't in your packet, nothing has changed of substance with the exception of the fire department. Fire department budget, there was changes to that, and the reason for that is and there still needs to be a correction there under revenues. The revenues that we generate are $145,000 from the ESD and $10,000 that the city puts in for bonuses. So it's a total of $155,000 budget on the revenue side. This one on this first page here, you'll see it's $120,000. That should be $155,000. I didn't catch that error, but it's $155,000 of revenues and $155,000 of expenditure. The reason I couldn't confirm this is because I think matter of fact, I think they're still finishing up the budget, but we didn't know the distribution of what they were going to get. The ESDs, each county, each department gets a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount. So I think it's settled at $145,000, and that's what you have in the budget. And then Blasio, through his, he'll give us the line items, and those line items is what you see on page 5, and how that breakdown is for the fire department. They do have, again, the $10,000 for the bonuses, and then the city contributes, but this is somewhere else in the budget. The city also contributes $25,000 for the fire truck on a lease purchase that we made 2 years ago, I believe. That's the way this breaks down. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure to point out that the budget is $155,000.
And council, we've approved the tax rate. This is to approve our budget, and we have
one other thing on the org chart, and part of this, and we're still working on this. There are some additions that I want to make sure that folks that have been asked and have agreed to help out, but we do need to, on that end, we are going to provide them, or will provide them with proper training, and some of them are already going through some training. First one, and that's in grade, I don't know if that's because of fire, but anyway, you look at the org chart. Gano has been doing the code enforcement side, but we are also asking him, he's been going to classes and training for fire marshals. We do not have a county or a city fire marshal, and we are in desperate need of one. So as he gets his certifications and endorsements, we are asking him to take on those duties. And so at some point, we probably this coming year need to look and see how that affects his compensation, because we recognize that, and that's for every position that we're asking them. I'm asking them because there's a void, and we don't have a person. I think I've been looking for a fire marshal for 3 or more years now, and I think Rick Ramirez was the last one that we kind of had around to help him with fire marshal services. But there hasn't been, so Gano, being that he's been working for the volunteer fire department, and he's probably the most knowledgeable one as far as the city staff, we are looking to see if we can get him the credentials to take on some of the fire marshal services. Crystal has also, and me and Ms. Moran do as best we can to try to development stuff, working on development things, but there's some things that we just, there's a whole chapter that, if you council is not aware, there's a whole chapter that's dedicated to floodplain management that we try to address as best we can, but we do need help in that respect. So Crystal's going through some training right now to help us with that. Crystal has helped with some with development, and when nobody was here, Ms. Moran wasn't here, she did as best she could, and I think she did a pretty good job even dealing with that. So I'm asking on that end to give her some training and see She went through a training, well, I won't even say, she went through a week-long, training this past week, and that certification is tough, and it's not just, it's not easy. And so, all in all, I know that the county has a floodplain management, we don't have one here at the city, it's required that we should have, but we have a floodplain manager. We just don't have one that has the credentials. And then the other one that will be helping me, or has been helping me with the economic development side has been Bianca. There's been others, but Bianca's been helping me with that. So I've added a little, a slash there to her title. But with that, she's been helping me with some of the software that we're working with. And on our new website, you'll see, and I'll go over some of the things we're working with on the economic development side. It's not just what we've been doing on the economic development side. We've been really fortunate. Okay, we've had businesses come in and we want to do, at least what I'm looking at, is doing, with Bianca's help and the chamber's help, is soliciting more than what we have been. Because again, we're not there yet when it comes to actually attracting business and saying, hey, we're here. But we do have, we need the data, and one of the things we're working on is the gathering of data and information. And I'll be sharing that with you. And then coming up with an economic development plan to say, hey, this is kind of what we're gonna work on and things that we're gonna try to attract here in Pearsall. We've been attracting retail, and we're looking at attracting other businesses, but we do, what businesses ask for, one is a lot of times for us is utilities, incentives, and the last thing is data. They wanna know how many people are coming to Pearsall, what they're coming for, how much traffic is generated here, those types of things that are important to them. We wanna provide them that information. So we will be providing them that information. So anyway, that's all I have. If there's anything else?
Council, just recognize the work that these folks are doing, these check marks that we're getting by, like for the fire marshal, for the flood manager, economic development. Again, hats off to Fred for all the things that are doing here to fill these things that we need to get done. So I'm very proud of the staff and the work that they do to fill these spots with people that are really valuable to our organization. So grateful for all those that are doing that. Well, staff, council, we have just approved the tax rate. We've got a motion and a second to approve the budget. So I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote if there is, hearing none. You know what? I'll wait for Brenda.
Just a comment before we move forward on, Fred, just a comment out of my end is, as we entitled and put extra duties to the employees, of course it's gonna come back with a bit more demands, I'm sure from the council. So, in making sure that, these demands are being met as we move forward, of course, because we'll be questioning from the community, I'm sure. Which is great. But I do have a question on the fire marshal though.
Sure.
Is that a fire marshal that only gonna service the city of Pearsall?
That fire marshal, that's a good question. That is a valid question. That's something and I haven't addressed this with the council. These are some of the things that as we start talking to other communities or the other entities, we now have a certified, fire marshal. Can we extend this to the county, right? Can we extend this to other groups? And those to me are part of the discussions. I know there's been other discussions as far as animal control, even code enforcement. It's like, and it's not to take anything away from anybody or any entity or group, but if you ask, who's the code enforcement officer of the county, I mean, I'm like, I don't know who that is. There may be somebody out there, but these are discussions that we may want, that we need to have, in my opinion, with the entities and see how we can share some of these resources. Because the fire marshals, there is a lot of authority with fire marshals and what they can and can't do. And so we just need somebody that's knowledgeable, one, and that has the credentials to be a fire marshal. It's just, and all he's gonna be doing, what Lucano's gonna be working on, at least from my perspective, is he's not gonna be working with arson investigations or anything like that. He's gonna be working your inspections, helping us with plan reviews, and those things, the inspection part, from my standpoint, I've seen where other communities have inspections on their schools. Now I can't say that the schools here are not doing that, But there's cities and communities that I know of that have a yearly inspection on fire code. And again, I know it's tough, but sometimes what you don't want, what we don't want is people from the state fire marshals coming over here and telling us, hey, I would rather if we could have somebody that's qualified to settle this stuff locally, is my preference. But, you know, being that we have to have somebody that has their credentials, I think Ghana is the most qualified in my opinion. But, that's kind of what we're trying to do. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just so we won't hear that, well, he's not being pulled away from the actual position and duties that he should be performing. You know,
Yes,
All
sir.
right, well, council, we are ready for a vote, for the appropriation budget for 2024-2025. Hearing no other questions, I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, going on to item 9C, discuss and consider ordinance number 20240903 and an ordinance repealing the ordinance number 2018-1102 related to the requiring a business license. This is an action item. I'm gonna call for a motion in a second. Motion by Councilwoman Hernandez, a second by Councilwoman Trevino. With that, I'm gonna ask Crystal to please come to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just brief backstory. 2017, previous administration decided to implement a business license for local businesses. Reason given was there is regulation on the federal and state level. They wanted to go ahead and try to regulate on the local level. Unfortunately, we do not have a solid process regarding enforcement or anything that follows with this ordinance. So I've had 7 businesses come in just this fiscal year. And that's about the average that we'll receive. There's too many businesses out there for us to go ahead and regulate and enforce. And again, like I stated, the original ordinance doesn't even provide those details as to who is to regulate and go out and find these businesses that are not cooperating. So we are asking to go ahead and just repeal the ordinance. Again, it's only $50 a business license. We're not bringing in, it's not a money maker. There's not much revenue coming in just from the business licenses.
Council, you have any questions for Crystal?
what kind of business are you coming across that are coming in that you're
That are
hearing?
coming in, we have Mr. Tandre's taxidermy that comes in, Oak Theater, Quick Serve, they come in, but your big heavy hitters, you don't see Walmart, Sonic, Golden Chick, any other local mom and pops, they don't come in.
Can we honestly say that we're up to code on our ordinances to say that we're ready to pursue something like this? Fred?
No, on that end, Councilmember, this business license, and again, part of the history is, my question was, well, why do we do this? This is a little something new for me, but I'm saying that I don't know that we would have the manpower, to enforce forcing these businesses to come in to get a license, if you will. So it does require some manpower, 1, and 2, I think you, in my opinion, I think will draw some probably bad publicity, if you will, from business owners that are gonna fight you tooth and nail, wonder why you're assessing a fee for a license that, it's tough to explain, I'll put it to you that way, in my opinion. But again, you have a lot of control, at least the state, they know this, but most businesses, you have to register with the comptroller's office, you have to register, you have to get all kinds of, approvals from the federal and state agencies, the IRS. So, imposing something at a local level makes it, to them, you're just imposing another fee or a tax for whatever reason. At least I can't speak for them, but that's what I understand, and I've heard from conversations I've had with people.
And the fee is assessed after conviction, so they would have to go through the entire process. And again, that process isn't even laid out, kind of like what our nuisance process is, details how it goes down the chain of command. That's not outlined here in this ordinance.
It would be really tough to enforce, and I don't think that we haven't done it in 8 years, 7 years, 6 years. So I think from my end, it would probably be something we could
in my opinion, just not have it, because I don't know that there's a lot of utility for it, to be honest with you.
Council, we have a motion and a second. Hearing no other questions, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? None. Motion passes unanimously. All right, it is now 8:22. We're going to executive session. Please leave your phones